LCS winner's side playoffs round one is over. It is now into the losers for round one, where we have 100 Thieves versus Energy and TL versus Dig. We're going to go over the first series that is playing today, 100 Thieves versus Energy. Before we do that, we need to go over how did 100 Thieves versus C9 series actually go. The most important things you need to know is that, one, we found out that River is sick or is having issues in some way. Couldn't even practice during the whole week. And if you watched him in the games versus C9, he was making a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes. Usually he's like rock solid, making a lot of good reads and everything. He was literally walking over wards that he probably should have known been warded, which just let Blabber do whatever the hell he wants, or even just run into River and push him out. There was even some fight mistakes that River was doing that were just, yeah, like he would normally not do that, but he was making them. So he was kind of a disappointing part of this team. And Quid also, like even the first game, he got hit by max range Talia Ws. I can tell you right now, no good mid laner is ever going to get hit by that. Like that should just not happen. But Quid almost like just screwed them over in the first game. And in the second and third game, like it got better, especially the Ahri game. That was a pretty good Ahri game. But the third game, you know, the Yasuo, it's fine, but he has to depend on his teammates. And his teammates were not right. Like they just weren't bringing it. So Quid did show a large champ pool, that was expected, but performance-wise, not. He can't have slip-up games like the way he did, and it wasn't as tight as he needed it to be. Bot lane got obliterated, and if you're gonna notice, C9 banned Varus, and picked Varus. This was the number one pick for 100 Thieves all split long. They literally chose comfort champions all the time instead of growing their champ pools. So mid and jungle are fine champ pool wise, but everyone else is struggling. And that's just because that's like what 100 Thieves chose to do for the split. So Varus is most likely going to be gone or pick banned by Energy. So they're not going to get that pick. There's Senna. There's Kaisa. There's... I don't remember if they played Xayah. They played Aphelios. But the Aphelios game, they got absolutely demolished by Lucian Nami. So that didn't really go too well. And that's going to be a worry for 100 Thieves. 100%, they're going to have to worry about, oh god, like, if River's still not 100%, like, Quid has to play better, and our bot lane, like, cannot hemorrhage the way they did. Because also another thing to tackle is, what did C9 do to 100 Thieves in the top lane? You know, again, they chose Aatrox, right? Comfortable Aatrox. Sniper doesn't really have the biggest pool. I mean, he's banning, like, Sniper's literally banning Jace. They're banning Jace into C9, but to me, I don't care about Fudge's Jace. Like, I'll play the Aatrox in the Jace. That'll definitely a lot more enjoyable. But, like, this is your own pick. This is his pick. He had to pick it at this point. Like, they're literally, like, he doesn't have a big pool, and you're banning your own pool. That's really bad. So this was a bad draft mistake. This was, like, actually fine for what they want to do. Like, literally, this was fine, but he walked over a ward. He just screwed himself. They got completely owned in a matchup they probably should not get completely owned in. And this was rough. And also, just to say now, Dokla going into week 6, I think it was week 6. Yeah, it was week 6. He played like a ton of TF top. So they could just replicate that. Like Energy can play Vayne, they can play Twisted Fate, they can play Jace. Like, they have ranged tops at their disposal to deal with Aatrox, that deals some of the picks that Sniper wants. So that's not going to be the most enjoyable. That might just repeat history, like especially the TFs. So hopefully 100 Thieves is prepared for that. And then you go further down, and like they do a new pick for Sniper finally, right? Like a Rumble into Renekton. And we see Impact have a ton of success on it. He did it versus FlyQuest as well, and did really well. It was okay. Problem was that Sniper just makes mistakes in the laning phase in terms of he contested too early. versus Bernectin at level 6. When his jungler was not close enough, if he waited a little bit longer, they actually win the 2v2 and it's the correct call, but he just went too early. Before that, River screwed Sniper up by, for some odd reason, invading into the Zinja, which Rel can never 1v1 duel, and it was a bad pathing to go by mid. And Sniper ended up using Ignite, so he lost a lot of pressure up to level 6, so that was pretty bad. Then you die level 6, and then you're still like okay to try to make some plays, but then Blabber was just there to make sure that that doesn't happen anymore, or Jojo. So he got shut out completely. And now, like, because he showed Rumble, now it's like, okay, he has 4 champions, like 4 or 5, maybe most champions that he could play. And if they do this one style, like, we just have to make sure we choose a good bot lane to rail them. And then while they have to put focus on the Ignite Rumble, like, their bot lane is getting obliterated. Because if I'm their bot lane, like, I do not have confidence. Like, you just, you were not in any of these games at all. Like, to me, I feel like 100 of these might even just go start to be like, we're going to play Kalista. Like, we're literally going to, like, have top lane, switch it up, hold down the fort, and we're going to go all into bot to make sure this does not happen. Because you can't win games if your bot lane is just not a present at all. And for energy, you know, if I do this like comparison for picks, obviously the first thing you notice is like Senna's like number 1. Like, this is the premier Senna team. Like, these guys were picking it week 1, and they continue to pick it because it was so comfortable to have. Personally, I probably am going to be banning it if I'm 100 Thieves. Like, Hui is one of the best Nautiluses. Like, in terms of just finding plays, like, you know how we saw Core yesterday, like, really take over? Yeah, like, Hui finds some ridiculous plays. So I probably remove the Naut. He's also a pretty good TK. So, like, the main 2 champs you play with Senna are good for Hui. So you're probably removing Senna. Easy, right? You know, Palafox, like, you think about Talia, he plays Ahri, he plays Corki. He doesn't really play melees at all. So you can play things like Yone. You can try the Yasuo again. But you could even go Akali too. And that might actually be pretty good for 100. Because these champions can kind of, they produce good side pressure. And then they can kind of make their own individual plays a little bit more. So that might be beneficial to also help Sniper in case he gets like pushed down. But also, I'll say now, you know, like, if they don't pick the Aatrox in the 1 through 3, if they do plan on picking it, they do need to ensure they have like a few standard bans, like maybe the TF would be nice. For energy, you know, I thought C9 might ban out Sniper because it's such an easy like choice. But the way that they approached it, and of course they had no idea that River was going to play as bad as he did, but they did ban the Vi, which was like a premier pick for 100. And that's probably still a pick you're going to want to ban if you're energy. Like I said, the Varus will also be very important, and then they banned Ahri. To me, I don't think the Ahri ban is like so necessary by C9, to be honest. It is probably just a throwaway ban. Like, they saw Nico ban, like, sure, we'll just ban the Ahri at this point. It's just an answer. You know, like the Senna, like, they ban Smolder, they just answer. Again, it's just like your reactive ban. This game, like, this was smart. The Olaf, like, this is one of the best picks that Sniper had, that 1v5s. And they can't, like, 100% react to it always. So this was good. This opens up Renekton a little bit more too. And they banned Smolder. So clearly, like, you know, they don't want to give over Senna, right? And then they ban Lucio. Like, they're only banning bot laners. And if you can only ban bot laners, that's good for Dokla. Because Dokla does not have a big pool. Like Sniper, Dokla does not have a huge pool. But their pool share is not the same. Like, Dokla doesn't play Olaf. Dokla plays Aatrox, but, like, it's still not something like he was just gravitating to always. And of course there's like Nico Nocturne combos, and a lot of the way like energy plays is surrounded around their jungle. It's the same with like 100 Thieves a little bit, but like their soul laners play more aggressive. But with like energy specifically, it is more focused on the jungle, so he'll play a lot of different carries. He'll play aggro picks, and Vi is also a pretty good pick for contracts. He actually has some pretty damn good Vi games. So for contracts, they can, like I said, they can ban Varus. They could ban the Vi because it's a good pick for River, but also they can take away Vi if it so happens to be open. They play pretty good wide variety of bot picks. If they get Senna, amazing. You're probably just going to take it straight up. If you probably would want to match into 100's bot lane, in my opinion, like the Varus Kalista matchups are actually rather good for enemy team playing into 100 Thieves bot lane, because I just don't trust Ayla to play it out well. I've seen their Kalista Renata lane, and it was bad. So I would say focus your bans on some of these core picks. You share like a couple jungle picks, which is good. Take it to them in bot lane. Have these range tops prepared for Sniper and make sure that he literally can't do anything. Dokka's not a huge tank player, so I doubt they're going to go that avenue where he just kind of gives free pressure or like absorbs easily. So they're going to put that focus. And of course, mid lane's going to be pretty simple. Like he's just going to play like the core AP mid picks. And contracts could even play some picks like Viego if it looks good. And just roll it out. And that's it. I mean, that's literally all Energy has to do with a few bans, and I think they're chilling. 100 Thieves, like they have to just play at a higher level. I will say that Energy's consistency throughout the entire split has been terrible, and that they easily could just int the series away, which, yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's also gonna be a very bloody series because both these teams love playing forward, love doing like what they like to do. So it'll be fast-paced. There'll be a lot of mistakes. Well, there'll definitely be a reasonable amount of mistakes. There'll be a reasonable amount of fights. And drafting good team fight comps and being able to tell, like, what are the good waves to fight on mid? What side waves can we catch without issue? Will be pretty important. And I think I would give it to... It's tough. I think I would give it to... And because so much of this hinges on River actually showing up. Because if he doesn't show up, it's gonna be bad. But it's not like Energy has a style that's just like counter, like rough for 100 Thieves. Like it's definitely gonna be like we're at it with each other. And I do think as the series goes on, Quid's pool will be prevalent, but at the same time, there's a few, like, it will really depend on what Dokka has prepared in anticipation to what Sniper does. And I think I'm gonna do 3-2 Energy, which is it's a oh man. I think I'm gonna do 3-2 Energy and lock it in and feel confident about it. It should be close. It shouldn't be just a wipe. It definitely should not just be a wipe, just because I can't trust the consistency of Energy's laners. But it's also not like I can just trust 100 Thieves and the champ pools they have and how that's going to work out. Because there are certain aspects that Energy has prepared through the split that will actually benefit them today. So 3-2 Energy. The other series, TL versus Dig, of course, like against FlyQuest, FlyQuest pretty much just banned Smolder, so they wanted to remove the best like scaling AD pick that they could, that just plays for fights, which is good for Yan. And then they banned jungles. Literally, I think that's like what they did throughout the entire time. They had to change their priority on Nautilus because of course JJ had an insane game one Nautilus. It's like so much that he almost solo won the game. So they put heavy priority on Nautilus after that. And again, as you notice, like the ban Renata, because they're like, well, we're gonna give Kalista, so let's not give that. But I didn't really care for them first picking Nautilus again, to be honest. But they did that. But for TL, I think Yeon played better, which is a really good sign. I think Core, and Impact were all playing pretty damn well. Umti having a bit more mistakes in like this was pretty common during the regular split, so that remained the same, which will be a little bit of worry. But I think the way Impacting 4 played was just, it was too good. And Neon started making more mistakes as the series progressed, and APA was making a lot of mistakes as the series progressed, like a ton. And he literally looks like he's a Ziggs one trick based on this series. And I know people meme about it, but I mean, I knew TL would not have a huge champ pool in mid. And watching him play, now it's like even more confident that that's the case. So Dig is like a worse version of TL, I'll be honest. Like, if you think about their bot lane, it's Yeon, Core JJ, Tomo, Isles. Not like, I don't view either AD to be like an absolute powerhouse. Core JJ is just better than Isles. So in terms of like just the 2v2, it's like slightly favored already to TL. If you look at mid lane, yeah, it's definitely favored to Dove in that Dove will press you, unlike Jensen. So there may be situations that APA actually dies in the early game versus like him mass dying in the like mid late. That is probably a big avenue for Dig to press and use. Like their mid jungle, they have to really press that because it's a weakness for TL. Umti is a better version of XU, but XU has improved in terms of like his control timers, when to play for lanes, you know, like this has always been the thing that he's focused on. And he's been able to do it in LCS, so it's a good aspect of his to have. And Impact versus Rich is probably the most interesting 1v1, easily. Like, Impact, Rich, both these guys have a similar style in that they don't see us as much in the side, in general, like, growing of strength and gold, compared to other players in the league and just in the, like, world, but they're really good players. Like, they know how to in-out fight. They know how to like press their advantage and kind of command and have a large presence always. So finding the right matchups for these two is going to be really pivotal. Like, really pivotal. Like Impact, let's say this. Rich will play the Rumble Ignite, right? Impact plays the Rumble Ignite. Rich plays the Gnar. Like, it's like literally his best pick, and that could be banned. Honestly, it could be banned. He's 4-0 on it. I could see it being banned. You know, Udyr is a huge pick for Impact, but he can't just blind it because Rich has, I mean, a pretty damn large champ pool, and he will play like a lot of different stuff. Like, I can imagine Rich, like, he already played TF top, right? So that in alone is like already a slight worry for like certain picks you'll choose into top lane as Impact. And red side is probably your preference if you're TL going into this series. Red side's probably your preference. For Dig, the blinds that he has, it's gonna depend, because right now he could play the Renekton as a blind, but they have a Rumble ban. The thing is, like, yeah, this guy Impact doesn't have. Okay, I'll say this. Impact doesn't have a TF as far as I know, and he's not playing Jace really either. So if that's the case, it's not. If that's the case, it'll be a little bit more of a 1v1, like, let's roll kind of situation. And also, Impact can't just play Cassante, because lo and behold, this guy plays Poppy and will ruin your life in that good matchup for Poppy. So yeah, it's really like, I'm not 100% sure how it's going to go. I actually think it's Rich favored generally for just like champ pool wise, but individual play and also how they play with their jungler, it's TL favored, because the way Umti and Impact play with each other is definitely better than the way that Rich and XU play together. So that mid thing is going to be pretty damn important, because if APA falls through, like if I'm Dove and I'm picking like Tristana, I'm playing like, I mean, he could play a Kali. Obviously, you forfeit some pressure in the beginning of the game, but you at 6, like, you kind of just like run into him and like kind of just push him out in these kinds of situations. that will kind of define stuff. Because, like I said, if TL loses mid jungle control, like the control through mid, then this is going to bleed into top. And if these two are going to go running into each other, which they will fight each other to the death, then, because that's their style. Like, these two are the two players who will actively try to kill each other. Fudge doesn't. Like, Fudge never really tried to do that. Fudge will just grow his advantage over time. Impact Rich will fight you to death. Sniper, sort of. It kind of depends. But lose mid control, that goes into top. Impact dies because Impact doesn't always just forfeit situations. Like, he will literally let some situations play out and he just dies for free. That won't go so well. And then in bot lane, Telmo, like, they play Zyricon, they play... he could play Aphelios because it's like something he always liked to play. Yeah, they play Senna, they play Smolder. Smolder's probably banned. I don't know if there's any... He probably would play the custom. I mean, Tomo's the type of player who will actively try to play whatever is meta. Like, whatever is popping up, like, he will try to play it 100%. So I'm sure, regardless whether I feel that like he might be good on the pick or not, he will have a pick. They will have champions to play. So bot lane's like fine in terms of like how things go. And assuming like they might remove Nautilus like FlyQuest because, like I said, Core had such a crazy game on it. Like, it's not really worth giving him that kind of champion. And when you looked at Core on other picks, like, yeah, Rel was also a really good pick for him. It'd be crazy to ban... It'd be kind of crazy to ban like some Core support picks and make it like an Enchanter bot lane matchup, which it honestly actually is not half bad for Dig, but no one ever does that. So I'll just assume like Nautilus is probably taken away, and then they could ban Ziggs. Like I said, like Ziggs was such a premier pick. Like, I don't know why TL didn't pick it in the 5th game, but they may ban Ziggs just because like it just performed. Like, it literally performed for TL. Even if he inted, like, he still provided a ton, and you could tell the way he played Ziggs in fights, it was a lot better than he played like other champs. So Nautilus, Ziggs, reactive ban. That's probably what your focus is. If you're TL, probably Smolder. Maybe look to fish for the Senna, like look for a Senna pick. Ban. There might be some mid picks you ban. You might also ban the Ivern, because that in itself is a very annoying pick. So you might ban Ivern, you might ban Smolder, and then you might ban something else. What that something else is, I don't know. But for my head-to-head, see, this one, if I was smart, I would say 3-0 for TL. Because in the end of the day, Dig does fall apart a bit. I'm curious. Do I remember what their head-to-heads in the regular split were? Dig versus TL 1-1. Oh man. Oh, man, like I said, this one is pretty tight. Like, this was a victory with Gnar. And this is a pretty complicated comp by TL, which doesn't really... I mean, it's not a half-bad comp, but I think he, like, inted hard on Wukong. And then this game, like, they lost to the Udyr. And they lost to his Azir. Wild. That's wild. But this comp's not half bad. That Dig chose for this situation. 3-0. Do I want to say 3-0 for these guys? I don't think I do. I think what my gut is telling me is that there's a real chance that because APA does not have time to prep and get his shit straight, especially his champ pool for this series, and Dub is going to have a lot more picks to do, and I'm putting some heavy faith in Rich. And the idea that Tomo Isles like beats up Core, maybe not 100%, but again, I feel like there's a lot of picks that TL had to reveal versus FlyQuest, like had to showcase like what their styles, what they need to do. Of course, their style hasn't really changed as much, but I'm just saying, like, especially with like APA confirming APA sucks. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 3-2 for Dig. I feel like Dig is better than what they show, and it's putting a lot of faith on Dove. It's not like Dove has been like a crazy player this split. Like, he's been fine for the league. But knowing how the top laners are, and it's not like just like Impact, like Rich is definitely the top laner to fight out Impact. Like, if there was like a top laner, like he is that guy, 100%. And that alone like gives me confidence. And even though I like, yeah, Umti's better than XQ, Core is better than Isles, and like it requires like TL's teamwork. The mistakes I see occur in these games and things that just kind of collapse. I don't know. It gives me some faith in Dig. 3-2 Dig. We're doing a 3-2 Dig. It took me a while to get there, but we'll do 3-2 Dig. We'll see. It's a ballsy call, but we'll see. Especially after watching their FlyQuest series. So, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, and comment to say who you think is gonna win. Later.